Shadow of the Colossus might easily be the game that I was most curious about getting into 2018. To many, it was a remake, but to me this was a brand new game that I finally have a chance to experience for the first time since I missed the original back in 2005. It became very clear after beating the game that this is not only one of the best remakes the PS4 has seen, but just in general one of the best remakes any classic has seen yet. Here's the thing though, having beaten the game in just over a day after it released, it's no secret that this game isn't that long, and it's an experience meant to be played once or twice. While to many that might be a big turnoff, it's about the quality rather than the quantity. Luckily, Shadow of the Colossus shines in that regard, as the journey the game takes you through in just over 5.5 hours is a memorable one to say the least. Before I go into my thoughts on the game as a whole, I think it's important to address the people that will be re-experiencing the game not going into it for the first time. The remake largely remains truthful to the original from what I've seen, with adding few additions, but there is now a new game plus for those wanting a second playthrough and a time trial mode for each of the Colossi. And also a substantial addition is the addition of a photo mode, which seems to be the standard of most exclusives coming from Sony, at least from the past few releases. But moving past that, the game even lets you play the game with these filters on, which is actually really neat. It makes new areas look completely new as you change the forest into a vibrant mess of colors. Besides the changes mentioned, this game is practically the same PS2 game you know and love. The story in Shadow of the Colossus is quite simple and clear. You play as a guy named Wanderer who goes to the Forbidden Lands in hopes of resurrecting his lover's soul. You quickly are tasked to take down 16 Colossi in order to free her soul. I'm going to leave the details really there because that's pretty much what the game only gives you going in. It's just so simple, but it just works. When it was all said and done though, the story generally surprised me. It's nothing like groundbreaking, but it managed to achieve in the end was really cool. Shadow of the Colossus is just one of those games where you go in for the gameplay and it remains dominant, but having a memorable story on the side is only a good thing. As long as you know that going in, there was really nothing to write home here. The area of the game that had me the most concerned was definitely the gameplay. It's no secret that Shadow of the Colossus is an old PS2 game, and with that comes outdated and possibly clunky controls, at least to today's standards. Luckily, Bluepoint Games went in and modernized the controls and mechanics just a bit to make it feel a little bit more like a native PS4 game. That doesn't come without issues though. The game isn't without its flaws. There is a bit of input lag when it comes to the controls, nothing game breaking, but it does take a bit of time to get comfortable with it. This is extremely annoying with the horse as well. I can't tell you how many times the thing has nearly threw me off ledges to die, or just wouldn't listen to what I wanted it to do, and led me to running into numerous walls. When it comes to the traditional Colossus fights though, the gameplay holds up quite well in that regard. There's something to be said about the sheer fun of climbing and maneuvering around these huge beasts. From making a jump to the Colossus' neck seconds before your stamina runs out, to driving the blade in its weak points, the game never fails to keep you bored, and always has you wanting to fight just one more. There's an excellent balance of the time needed to take down the Colossi and the skill required to do so, that it doesn't have you feeling frustrated like you're stuck on one Colossus and you just move away from it all. And despite there being 16 Colossi, the game only took me around 5.5 hours to beat, so you move along pretty nicely there. It almost feels off to call the Colossi bosses because they really aren't. The Colossi in this game act as learning points, not tests themselves. Each Colossi acts as a new puzzle, and with that it's pivotal in looking at each one differently. You can't just do the same things you learn from other Colossi on how you approach this. You gotta be very open to how you approach it. The fun isn't in stabbing it. Alright, there is a little bit of, satisfaction that comes with that, but it's more about the time spent on the ground and hanging on for dear life than it is finishing it off. For the past few days now, I've had many of the songs from Shadow of the Colossus repeating over my head over and over again. The game has a surprisingly great soundtrack. From scaling a huge Colossi with an intense melody to the quiet beats while you're exploring the world, the game's music is just up to par with its presentation. The music from Shadow of the Colossus was beautiful back then, and it still holds up with the remake. The whole soundtrack just screams adventure, and it easily is one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. I've mentioned that a lot of Shadow of the Colossus' charm needs to be played to be understood, but one conclusion I think we can all agree on just based on seeing the game is just how stunning the game looks. Every detail, every texture was redone and created by Bluepoint Games themselves. This is a remake, not a remaster. Just like Crash from last year, Shadow of the Colossus looks like a brand new game today and is a lot less grayed out than the original. Combine that with better lighting and facial details and the remake looks truly stunning. I can't tell you how many times I've accidentally went off the beaten path just by looking at the huge world around me and to the ginormous structures you see. Team Ico surely has a talent for making you feel so small compared to the ginormous world around you. This is distinctly jaw-dropping each and every time you encounter a new Colossus. There's a sense of awe and wonder for like the first 5 seconds every single time you see a new Colossi, and it is quickly replaced with the feeling of adventure as you try to figure out a way to scale the thing. It's always surreal to compare the remakes to the original, and especially at Bluepoint, they did that job damn well. Shadow of the Colossus was an exciting and grand journey filled with some of the best bosses I've fought in recent memory. Whether you're craving a blast from the past or looking to get into the classic that many hold up high, Shadow of the Colossus is a breath of fresh air in an industry filled with lack of innovation. While the game didn't impact me nearly as much as others, it's an exclusive that I'd definitely recommend to anybody that owns a PS4. I enjoyed my 5 or so hours with it, but I have to admit, I don't really feel like a sense of urgency to go back to it and do it again, with the exception of maybe a few standout Colossi. I feel kinda done. If there is any takeaway though, I have to say it's clear that this game was ahead of its time back in 2005. Thanks a lot for watching my review of Shadow of the Colossus. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe for future videos of mine. Also, make sure to like the video if you enjoyed my review. Make sure to let me know if you played Shadow of the Colossus in the comments down below, and give your opinion on the game as well in the comments down below. As always, until I upload next, take care everyone.